Ladies, gentlemen, and cyborgs, we did it! Voidstar Lab has officially joined the 4-digit club. We beat the odds, we did the impossible, we got to 1,000 subscribers without a pillow shaped like a subscribe button. As a tribute to you, the handsomest and most intellectual audience on YouTube, I'm going to acknowledge the elephant on my face. This wearable computer has appeared in all but one of my videos, and that video was bad. That wasn't a coincidence because the Octagon isn't a prop. I'm wearing a fully functional heads-up display that I use as a teleprompter. If you don't believe me, get in my eyeball. Welcome to my left eyeball. As you can see, this is a transparent display about the size of an iPad held at arm's length. It's a lot like a Google Glass, except it's positioned in front of my eye and the picture is about 4 times larger. Unlike a glass, the Octagon doesn't have a camera. Also, the thing on my face is just the display. The computer part of the wearable computer is this belt pack that's basically a screenless Android tablet. So how did I make this thing, and how did it end up on my face? Why does every episode of Voidstar Lab feature a wearable computer? Well, my story begins like all epics of the modern era, as an intern. The year is 2007, and I still thought I could pass engineering school. I had a summer job working for an entrepreneur named Simon Buckingham. I'm not making fun of him, that's actually how he introduced himself. I was ghostwriting a blog post and I ended up on Hackaday. This guy discovered that a $25 replacement headset from a Wild Planet spy car was super easy to turn into a wearable computer. I thought this was the coolest thing ever, and the headset was in stock and it was on sale. My finger circled the buy button like a shark around a tender baby. You see, my previous hack, a Nerf ammo counter, turned out to be a hot sauce diarrhea dump, and I wasn't exactly confident that I could finish an electronics project. I decided to take the responsible choice and think about it till I got home. So as soon as I arrived, I jumped on the Wild Planet website and discovered that Hackaday readers had hoovered up every single damn headset. I even called the Wild Planet warehouse to beg for spares, but some fart Zuckerberg had beaten me to it and cleaned them out. A normie would have stopped here, but by Jove, I was a nerd, and I wanted to stick a computer on my face. It was on! I settled on the Vuzix iWear AV230 as the display, an Arduino Uno as the brains, and a coat hanger as the headset. Yeah, an Arduino. The Vuzix had a 320 by 240 resolution, but the Arduino couldn't buffer a single monochrome frame. It was a terrible choice. But despite not knowing anything about soldering, electronics, or really anything of relevance to the project, I did manage to finish a functional wearable computer. Literally immediately, I wore it to the New Jersey Tech Meetup. They were doing some sort of Best Pitch award that night, and my new cybernetic augmentations gave me an insurmountable edge. So this guy Bert sees my heads-up display, asks me if I want to join a hackerspace. I don't know what a hackerspace is, so I say hell yeah. It turns out he was actually founding a hackerspace, so yeah, we made a hackerspace. They somehow got Eben Upton, the guy who invented the Raspberry Pi, to go to the hackerspace and do a meet and greet. I wanted to show off, so I bought a new video headset, the MyView Crystal. I unbent another coat hanger, and I built another improved heads-up display to connect to a Raspberry Pi. Eben loved the project, he signed the Pi, and I have cherished that ever since. It is my personal favorite single-board computer. Then a well-known tech company released a wearable computer and I threw myself on that bandwagon face first. Around that time, I started building prototypes and I formed Voidstar Lab. One client wanted an augmented reality bike helmet and we built it around an off-the-shelf video headset made by Epson. I liked the Moverio so much that it inspired another wearable, the Octagon, which is what you see here. Actually, all of my wearables are called Octagon because I am profoundly uncreative. If you have another name idea that doesn't involve Dragon Ball, put it in a comment. The Moverio series are Android-based video headsets. Epson's marketing features first-person drone piloting, medical visualizations, manufacturing, but this headset is not powerful enough to do any of those. It's clear that the #1 use case for things like this are watching porn on an airplane.
It's a completely different experience from staring at my monitor.
I picked this headset not for its good looks or for its powerful chipset, but for its legitimately exceptional optics. What's going on here is that the backlight shines through a teeny tiny LCD panel and projects the image onto the lens. The optics inside the projector compress that picture down into a thin bar of light, which reflects off this curved mirror and gets opened back up by this prism. The end product is a big, crisp, see-through picture and a crystal clear lens, which is a little chunky, but still comfortable enough to wear all day. Less light leaving the lens means more light hitting my eyeballs, and more likes on this video means more, I can't call to action today. Like, you folks have already gone like above and beyond to get us here. Thank you. I hacked this hardware so thoroughly that I actually forgot nearly everything I did, and writing this video was almost like reverse engineering the project as I rediscovered all the jank. In no particular order, some of the mods include: I stripped the display modules out of the headset and I ground away the mounting tabs. I pulled the driver module out of the right side and hooked it up to the display module on the left side. That's because the motion sensors are on the right side, but I am left eye dominant. I designed and printed a new monocular enclosure, then mounted it to a pair of cheapo glasses frames and cut off the excess. I pulled the camera out and I threw it in the trash because the picture quality is so bad it wasn't even worth building it into the model. I rooted the Android, I sideloaded Google services, and I used Xpose to tune the UI for wearable use. I removed the onboard GPS chip antenna and hacked in a powered UFL port, then hooked it up to a shoulder-mounted active GPS receiver. Those last two mods were important because I built this thing to play Ingress, the inscrutable sci-fi predecessor to Pokemon Go. I even put the Enlighten logo on this side. Death to Smurfs. Ingress aggressively refused to run on the Moverio. It took a lot of massaging, but I was able to get Ingress running on this thing, and I got photographic evidence. Unfortunately, Ingress is unplayable these days, even on devices that are more capable, and as much as I'd love to pour some bursters out for my homies, the Google God's decree is absolute. Side story, I continued to play Ingress and I met my wife through it. Hi, wife. The Optigon was kind of useless, but still comfortable enough to wear all day, so it became like a fashion accessory and a conversation piece that I could wear to meetups and hacker cons. The Optigon lay in its case, sad, lonely, and out of battery. That was until September 2020. I was serious about the whole YouTube thing, but I could barely remember enough material to record a single scene. If I wanted any chance to hit a weekly schedule, I needed a teleprompter. What's funny is that my first thought was to 3D print a tablet mount that attached to the camera, but I didn't have a compatible tablet and I was kind of stumped. I was taking a shower when I realized that I was literally already wearing a display in like every shot. I'm a worm! A cybernetic worm! So before we filmed the wire circuits on boards video, I took my script and I loaded it into the elegant Teleprompter app. We filmed that episode twice as fast as the previous two, and the Optigon has been a crucial part of my gear ever since. I will always have a special place in my heart for head-mounted displays, and now that I need teleprompting, a display will always have a special place mounted to my head. But this ain't over. The Optigon looks like it was half-assedly designed in a drunken weekend on SketchUp by an idiot and made on a 10-year-old printer, because that's exactly how it went down. My viewers deserve better than this blocky geometry and tacky tribal team tattoos. Oh, it's project time. First step was to hunt down the design files on my computer and get them out of that cursed SketchUp format and into Fusion 360. I just took the dimensions and started from scratch. And since I was starting from scratch, might as well redesign the whole thing. Might as well at this point, right? This original design is compact, but it concentrates all that mass at the hinge of the glasses. That's the furthest point from my face, and the moment of inertia is significant. I moved the driver board onto the arm of my glasses to shift mass away from the hinge and closer to my ear. All of the electronics and optics mount to the inner shell, and the outer shell just slides over it and screws in place. I put this interlocking sawtooth pattern on the seam to conceal any mess and just make the thing look cooler. The backlight should shine directly on the driver board, so I added a little window gaming PC style to show off the innards. Now to replace that Ingress icon with something more timeless, and nothing says Optigon like hexagons. In the future, everything is made of hexagons. Printing prototypes and refining the design were the easy parts. The hard part was picking a color scheme. I originally wanted a glow-in-the-dark inner piece and a shiny silk black outer, but that shiny silk filament was just way too brittle for this design. I switched to PETG, which is tougher than PLA and also has this gorgeous glossy finish. My 90s instincts roared to life and reminded me that the color of the future, like the color of my Tamagotchi, is clear. Clear PETG transmits more light than clear PLA, so once that backlight turns on, things are gonna get classy. Wearable computers got me into hacking and they brought me where I am today. And this project, Octagon, is my way of saying that this story is going to continue deep into the future. Thanks so much for being part of it, and I will see you there.